today we're just going to talk, so Google Classroom, based on their page, their motto just says, making teaching more productive, collaborative, and meaningful. And I know for me, like I've used learning management systems from other schools. I've used Canvas, I've used Blackboard, I've used Moodle. And when I came here, I like kind of had a hard adjustment, like getting used to the Google Classroom. Like there just wasn't a lot of information on it, so I didn't feel like I was using it to be productive or to collaborate or being meaningful. So it's something I've been kind of working on this semester, so I want to see what I can help with y'all with that. So if you already know some of this stuff, great. Might get to learn it a little bit again. So just some objectives of what we're going to go over today is just going to focus on assigning Google Forms as quizzes, how to import grades, how to assign individual and collaborative assignments, and organize content into topic areas. So those are just some of the things that we're going to hit. It's going to be a lot of me showing y'all some screenshots, and then we're going to do them together so that you can practice it. So it's not just me standing up here just pointing at things and then you go and you have no clue what to do. So, all right. So, how to assign a Google form as a quiz. So I've noticed kind of with third grade, some people are assigning Google Forms, but they're not really assigning them as quizzes. So then it kind of adds the basically it's a Google form that you just should have printed out. So to assign it as a quiz just makes it a lot easier. You can ask my team, I much rather spend 10 minutes making a quiz than 20 minutes grading. I'm literally the worst person with grading. I'm super always behind. So that's why a lot of my science and social study content, I like to just go ahead and put onto Google Classroom because one, they can see pictures, they can see it clear. Two, that's how all their testing is going to be from now on to the rest of their lives. So they might as well get used to testing on devices anyways. And I don't have to grade. It grades it for me. It imports the grades. It's super simple. So I'm just going to walk y'all through how to assign a Google form as a quiz. So I'm going to ask that y'all do these steps with me. So once you've created one question, if you'll just give me a thumbs up and show you how to make this into a quiz. All right, so in order to make this into the quiz, all we're going to do is we're going to come up to this setting wheel, little cog up at the top corner. We're going to click on that, and then we're going to go over to this quizzes tab, and we're going to click make this a quiz. Okay, so that's the difference between it just being a Google form and making it actually a quiz. And so you can turn on the lock mode, but what I found is if kid uses device that they bring from home, it's not going to let them access it. So you want to probably take that off if you're going to have kids that are going to device, because even if I go home and try to access it with my computer at home, if I'm not using one of the school's devices, it's not going to let me access it. So I would take that off. I usually just let them see their grades immediately after. If you don't want them to see it, you can delay it. But that's going to make it in the quiz. I know a lot of teachers, when they do Google Form tests and do Google Form quizzes, they put that question at the beginning, like, what is your name? This should bypass all of that. You might still want to do it just as a backup in case something goes wrong. But if you do all the steps, then you shouldn't even have to have the kids enter their name as the beginning of the quiz. Once you get into Google Classroom, it should import it all into their name account. So if you'll go ahead and click Make a Quiz. And then all we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're actually going to enter in the answer key. So if you click this button, Answer Key at the bottom, it's going to take you into, so the correct answer is Clemson University. They are the reigning national champs. And then the one thing that we're going to do is we're also going to make it, we'll do that in a second. So you also want to add a point value. So we have one question, it's worth 100 points. I'm a big, make it a 10, 20, or 25 question person, because then I can assign the exact point value. I don't have to do, well, they got 13 out of 14 and then divide and figure it out. I like to just make it where it completely grades it for me. Like I said earlier, I'm completely lazy with my grading. I just want it to do it for me. And so we're going to add it as 100 points. So if they get it right, they get 100 points. If they don't, it's automatically going to grade it. So once you've gotten that, it should automatically save it. If you want to title it in the top left corner, I didn't title this one for this purpose, but if you want to title it, you can. Next thing I'm just going to talk about is some different individual and collaborative assignments, and just maybe give y'all hopefully some ideas on ways that you can use Google Classroom just to be a little bit more interactive with students than just assigning them a test and just having them take it. Really kind of make it into one of those learning management systems that they kind of see when they get older, where they're interacting with the site. So the first one, and y'all don't have to do anything with this one, The first assignment is just if you want to have students just view an assignment. So a lot of times we use a lot of Google Slides in 3rd grade, and this was me being lazy the other day. I really didn't want to stand up here and go back over all my classroom jobs with them and listen to them like try to write down and try to figure out which jobs they wanted. So instead I just typed them up on a Google Slide and I sent it to them so during flex time they could just look at it at their own pace, write down, because I knew if I just put the slides up, they would just send me, they're trying to copy it down, and then they'd be like, can you go back to that one? So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna give them each their own copy. So one thing, if you want a student to have a copy of a file, but you don't want them to edit it, you don't want them to have, if it's just you want them to view it alone, when you go to make an assignment, all you have to do is click Students Can View File. So that will make it where they just have an original file, they can't edit it, they can't see what everybody else's work is, it's just theirs to look at and kind of peruse. That's good with presentations. It's good if you just want to give them some quick information, and you know, I know a lot of us have kids that work at different paces. So that's just one way that they can view only. All right, and another thing I wanted to point out is you don't have to assign everything to all students. So if you have students that are different levels or different abilities, you can click on here and you can hand select what group they go into. So that way, if you are trying to differentiate your instruction and this group needs a practice multiplication, but this group needs to do some place value, you can click on the all students and it'll bring up a list of all your kids, and you can hand click which ones you want to send it to and which ones you don't, and it'll only show up on their Google Classroom. All right, so students submitting individual assignments is a little different. You pull up the same screen, and instead of saying students can view files, you're going to say make a copy for each student. So what this does is it's going to give each student their own individual copy of that presentation, of that Google Docs, of whatever you want. So that way they can edit it and send it in. And it's kind of funny Mr. Burris walked in, because I definitely screenshotted one of JL's. So, like, this is an assignment. This is an assignment I did for Google Classroom, and they were just, there's no grade on it. There's no grade on it. But, so what I did is I clicked send a copy to each student. So what it did is it gave each student their own individual copy that they can edit. So in this one, they can edit it. So this one, we were just doing a review, like a classwork review on types of rock. I didn't actually take it 3rd grade. But, so they typed in their names, and they went through each of the slides and did the activities, and then they can submit it back to me. And when they submit it back, I can actually go through, and if you have a rubric and you can grade it, you can add a private comment. So it's a way for you and the students to communicate and give them that individualized feedback through Google Classroom. So you don't have to, get a paper, and they like it a lot better than sometimes just doing a normal class or getting to see, and like especially with things like rocks and a lot of scientific things, I want them to see pictures of it, and I don't always want to cut and paste black and white things. So they can do the same cut and paste they would do like with scissors, but they get to see it in color, and they can make it big, and they work really well on the computer. So if you do it that way, then they can each, and she turned it in, so she did a good job, it's not missing. Then they each get their own one they can edit. We've done that with grammar. We've had a grammar assignments. I'm working right now on a character trait ones where they're gonna read articles and they're gonna describe the character traits with actions. They can type it in. And so it's like their own little mini presentation that they're filling in, and it's got guided stuff, and they submit it in. I can view everything they're doing. I can comment in here and write on it, and they can see what I'm saying. So it's a great way to collaborate and interact just with you and your students. So, but go back. And this is what kind of looks like when they all submit it in. So you can see, I can see my entire classes. See, I have 2 that I think weren't here that day, so they didn't turn it in yet. But I can see my entire classes and click on each one and view each of their individual work and give them feedback. And another one you can do is you can have, and this is the one that kind of scared me when I first started. I was like, there's no way I'm ever putting 23 kids on a Google slide and gonna let them type and talk to each other. That is going to be a disaster. Like, it's just not gonna happen. But I've actually found that the students love it, and it's been a great way for them to get to collaborate. So if you do the same thing, you pull it up an assignment, but this time you put students can edit. They can edit your original copy. So if you don't have 2, you might wanna make 2, because whatever they type, that's what's gonna happen. So I've done a couple of these where I put students in group, instead of doing like a gallery walk, because I don't have time to print out colored pictures and post them up on a board, I'll just put them on a Google Slides, and instead of having the students walk around, they'll just be with their partners, and they'll view the slides, and they'll write down their thoughts, they'll write down their observations. And so this way they can actually edit it, and they can see everybody. They get a great giggle at it at first. They're like, oh my gosh, I can see everybody, and all their little icons pop up. So it's kind of funny. And this is an example of, we did an inference activity, and it was supposed to be a gallery walk, and I didn't print my pictures. So I was like, oh great, we'll just try it on Google Slides. So we had a bunch of pictures, and they were supposed to make inferences on what they saw and what they thought was happening. And so I gave each color, I just assigned each group, I was like, this is your color sticky note. And so for each one, they went and put their color sticky note, and they wrote their inferences on what happened. Like, we can infer that the dogs tore the paper and made a mess. And they did that way, and they were all able to collaborate together and see what other people thought of, and sometimes they're right, we agree, and things like that. So I think it's a great alternative sometimes to having them like get up and walk around and do that, and they tend to like it, and they've all been focused. So if all my fears of them like going crazy on it, haven't had anybody type anything inappropriate yet, so it's been good. So, but those are just some ways that you can do assignments, just a little bit different. So, you might have any questions on those? No, great.